Okay, so first we are going to identify all of our network ports. You have to forgive me, I am the most horrible typer into PowerShell there ever was. So hopefully I do not make a typographical error. So we have all of these ports. And I did notice that with the VPN on, it does have a lot of different ports. So not really your common ports, probably not your 143 or your 3389. My guess is that the VPN blocks those. So as you go through, you'll be like, oh, these are probably not the common port numbers that you usually see. So then if we go through here, we can type in a different way to identify those ports. So we will do that. Okay, so if I want to figure out, as I've gone through this list up here, kind of notice some reoccurring ports. Of course, there's several, but as I go through, there's like a 3564, and I've noticed maybe a 3564, we see a 6668 several times. And I've also seen a 6744. So there's a couple that repeat over and over again. I just kind of picked them out. And then I also noticed up here, so you've got listening and established. So you got time wait up here is a 00. And mostly I'm just looking for the listening and established. Even 8760, that's kind of interesting. That one comes up quite a few times too. So if you want to know what the ports are coming from, all you have to do is type in this get. Hopefully I do this right. And then I want to know the process. And there's a space. And I want to know the ID. So I want to know where it's coming from. So it's capitalized. And then I'm going to type in whatever port number that it is. So if I want 6744, and then I would hit enter. And so it will give me maybe handles, NPM, PM, WS, CPU. And then here's the ID that I want to know. And then it'll tell me like LMS, okay? And then this would be what you would look up to figure out what LMS was. And so when I looked up LMS is actually, and I looked this up, LMS is an OS service. So this would be like my IT administration. So if you're looking up LMS, this is all your OS stuff running in the background. So if you want to know what this is, and typically this would actually come through another port, but I have a VPN on, so it's going to come through 6744. So this actually sometimes would come through your 443 or maybe a 500 port, but because I have a VPN on, it's coming through a different port. So that's why mine is not coming through those ports, is coming through a different port. And let's say I want to try a different one. Process, and then I do a little ID again. And I'm going to try a different number over here. Let's see, let's try a different number. 3564. Oops. See, this is why I'm always doing typos. 3564. Make sure it highlights, otherwise you've typed it wrong. It's kind of a nice one. Okay, this one was interesting. So this is what Zoom is coming through, and so it's kind of nice. I recognize this. It's Zoom. Zoom is running in the background, which is funny because I was using Zoom last night, and I thought it was interesting that Zoom is still listening to me, which is interesting because I shut it off last night, but it is still apparently listening in the background. So we got this 3564, and it does have little dots next to it, but it was still trying to come through. So I thought that was interesting that there's two. So I get that one. And then get process. And I got this little slash. I'm having too much fun with this. ID. And we'll try another one here. And maybe we'll try this. 1, 2, 3. And 8. And let's see what this one is. And this is really interesting. This 6668 is Pan GPS, and if you don't recognize this is actually the VPN that I'm using. So the VPN has its own port number, and it would make sense that this one's running in the background because this is the actual VPN. And I do notice that the VPN actually sends like a status back and forth to Ensign College, so that would make sense that it would be running and transmitting back and forth. So it would be both listening and establishing back and forth. So that makes sense to me that it would be doing both because it's the actual VPN. So it would have a port doing that. So that makes sense. Okay, so now we need to get a service. Okay, we want to see all of our services that are running, and we have quite a few services. And here's our Pan GPS, which is also a service because it's an app. So VPN running service, Adobe Acrobat update service, applications information. We have several services running in the background, and we can also pick any service that we want. It's running in the background here. Installation services, IP helpers, intels, keys, servers, workstations, lots and lots of things running in the background here. Here are some useful just running services that we have going all the time. Here's your DHCP client. This makes sure that you have the right IP address almost all the time so you can connect. Your DNS client, this is your service so that when you go to connect out to the internet, then you will be able to connect to the right server. So we have all these services running in the background all the time, constantly, so that we can get to where we're going and make the right connections. And they're all running constantly in the background for us. Okay, next part was creating a rule for a firewall for port 5000. Admittedly, normally I would type this in, but this actually scares me a little bit, so I actually had to make sure this was typed. Okay, so I'm gonna paste this anyway. This had multiple lines. So this is the net. Okay, access denied. I guess I have to go back in and do this as a see if it actually says that. Okay, firewall displays 5,000 directions, so it's not going to allow it. Let's see if this actually worked for me. Direction, local port, action, allow. Let's see, access is denied, but now it's telling me it allowed. So hold on a second. Okay, now we are back and try and run this as an administrator this time. And now we're going to very scarily go like this and enter. Okay, so now it has allowed us to do whatever this is. Hopefully we didn't destroy everything. So we have this entire out. We've now allowed this to do whatever this is. We have gotten all this. We've blocked it. False, false. Okay, the rule was parsed successfully from the store. Not applicable. Persistence, local, and it has allowed us to do everything. So there we go. Okay, now we need to go back. So We have now clicked in this. We're going back, and boom. We have disabled net firewall, disable allow, now allowed the TCP 5000, and we have hit enter. So hopefully, action allowed, disable firewall, and I'm not really seeing how much it actually did. So we did all this other stuff. Not really seeing that it did a whole lot. Disable net firewall. Disable. Now it says allow TCP 5000. Not really a whole lot that it did that time. So, and now we. That's always the scariest thing is that going back and forth here and enter. We're toggling back and forth. So enable net firewall rule disable name allowed TCP 5000. So now we have gone back and forth. We have now enabled net firewall rule disable name loud TCP 50,000. I guess my question is, what on earth did I do? Because I have no idea. So no, enabled net firewall rule display name allowed TCP 5000. Okay, so now we're able to go back and forth. Okay, this last part kind of already did, so I'll just show you what I did is we created a task and we gave it a name. The name I gave it, let's see here. I don't know if it'll show me what I did. Hold on a sec. Okay, so I just went here and I said create a basic task. Just called it a daily update. Then we said next. We had a trigger, it was daily. It recurred once a day. We said next. And then we started a program. In here, it was done through PowerShell. And it was an executable, exe. And then in here, it had a specific argument. So it had a command. I typed a command in here. It actually had a whole argument that was put into here, and it was an install argument, and it was all typed in here. Then hit next. Okay, and it was a daily update and so forth, and it was triggered at a certain time, and then I hit finish. Not cancel this since I've already done it. And this task is enabled, and so it's all through here, but it's already scheduled, so I don't want to schedule it again. But that's how I did my daily task that will be done every day. And I believe that's the last part of the video, and everything else is already in here. And that's everything. All right.